All right, we're going to get settled into doing a wall rope therapeutic yoga session. And this is a wonderful sequence for releasing the back and the side band of the lateral rotator of the hips and neck, improve circulation to the organs. And we're going to get started with some props, kind of a little bit of a prop check-in. So you do need to have a wall rope, and I want you to have a little bit of support underneath your head. So I would just put a folded blanket right up against the wall. Wall rope is overhead. And we're going to need a couple therapy balls. These are really small. I'm using the smaller ones for my back massage in the beginning, my respiratory and back massage. And I have a bolster at the base and a sandbag and an extra blanket in case I need that. All right, so let's begin on our back. We're going to place our feet on top of the bolster, and then I want you to take the two balls, and when you lower back, find the tailbone support, then guide yourself back with the balls right at the inner side of the shoulder blades. So when you lower your head back, the balls are going to be holding the back respiratory, so it'll feel like it's a little bit of a hammock sensation. It's called a rib hammock. It's kind of swaddling and cocoon-like feeling in the breathing muscles. So you just let the arms open out. You let the feet have that elevation on the bolster. Feel if you can receive your breath. Optimally, breathing in through the nose, relaxing the eyes. If you have an eye pillow, you might place that over your eyes. And feeling where the therapy balls are pressed into with your inhale. So you're trying to feel that rib space pushing into the ball on each side of the rib cage on the back. So they're pretty high up in the back, right? They're not low, they're not under the low back, but they are helping create that arch in the back muscles. Now let the knees relax together. You can feel the feet turning inwards. You can feel them parallel. But gather your attention on the even rhythm of your breath. Shifting the knees to one side, take a ball out, and then take the other one out, and let the knees windshield wiper side to side, feet a little wider than hips distance apart, and then get a hold of your wall rope. Okay, so when I lift my feet up into it to be supported, I do want to have a little bit of lift, right? So I have my rope is a little high right now, so I have an extra amount of the field of lifting up out of the back body, but you don't want to have it such a strain that you're having trouble with the stretch. So find a pretty easeful range that when your legs swing side to side, you can feel some bend in the knees, okay? So you might need to make that so it's just a little bit of extra. I'm going to give myself an extra amount of rope. Okay, so with both feet up, side down, enjoy the beginning cycle of movement into your back. A little bit of softness in the knees. Start with both feet into the rope. And as you move the legs side to side, let your arms open out. And then every time you come back through the middle, I want you to bend the knees towards the chest and then push them back out and then swing to the other side. And then come back center, bring the knees to your chest, push them out, swing to the side. You know, if it feels like you can't get that much length in your back, then the rope is too short, right? You want to find that you have just that right amount of range where you don't feel like it's tightening things up. So plenty of range with the yoga rope, yoga belt, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now when you come up this next time, you're just going to lower the left leg out of the rope and let that right leg swing side to side. You can let the bottom leg relax over so that the bottom leg, the left knee, is bent quite a bit. You could pull the bolster closer in towards your seat. But the key here is that fluid movement, which helps that lower extremity kind of serve. It's like it's in service to your leg, your back, your lumbars, your thoracics when you swing it to the side. Okay, and let's come back in center. We're going to stay with the right leg up. We're going to be adding some things in so we get a nice layer of poses in our pathway. Slide the left foot up on the bolster. And then I want you just to bring that left ankle to the right knee. And you're going to bend the right knee into figure 4 pose. So you want to feel when that left hip is formulating that bend from the hip crease, the side, with the left knee pointing out and the left ankle to the right leg. It doesn't have to be perfectly on the knee, but it might be a little bit above the knee. And as you hinge at the hip, relax the right foot into the yoga belt, just feeling your spine into the back line of the leg stretching. Start to feel a little bit of stretch into the kidneys, openness of the chest, delivery of breath. Now move your left foot into the belt, the yoga rope, lower the right leg down, and then just simply swing the left leg side to side. So feeling that range of motion across the hip, into the leg, and with the leg upside down, it's in service to your heart, to the circulation and the vascular support of your heart and your brain. So it's actually quite useful to go upside down, right? To reverse the effects of gravity on the muscles of the leg and reversing that blood flow back towards the heart. Come back center, slide the right foot up on the bolster. And then as you bring the right knee in, you can always hug the right leg in with both hands and then cross that right ankle to the left knee and then try to bend that left knee. Now, we've done this before where we use a ball under the back of the pelvis, and that could be of service to your balance. It would make the balance more challenging, but it might be of service to loosening up the tension in the right hip. So try it with just simply the minimal things, right? The yoga belt and the alignment assignment of figure 4. If you need other things, even if you watch this and you decide to go back and do the other side, you can always tuck the ball at the tailbone. Now let's say you're improving and you now want to try using the ball, I like that sensory feedback I get from the ball. I definitely feel it in my core. I feel a little bit of extra kind of zing internally because I have to balance on it. But you might decide that it's just not necessary. So sometimes a ball could be useful. It's a nice way to get sensory kind of feedback into the skin as well, because your skin is your largest organ. So having that ball, that tactile touch into the stretch. Okay. So feel figure 4. Feel the knees both bending. Feel that you're kind of hanging in the pose. You're kind of reclining and supported. Okay, now as you bring the right foot up into the yoga belt again, you'll let both legs just swing side to side. Feel how you're touching onto the base of the spine, how that movement is going into the hip. And then let's just start to go a little deeper. And we'll bend the knees towards the chest. You can slip your feet out of the belt. The belt will just drop back towards the wall. Or you can carefully bring the yoga belt back towards the wall. And I want you just to hug the backs of the thighs, knees towards the chest. Find where there's evenness at the sacrum, at the base of the spine, connecting into the hips. Okay. Now as you lower your feet down, you can feel that bolster. And I want you to actually use your feet to push the bolster to the right side of your practice space, and taking that position of support. My bolster's on the right side. My right leg is going to lower. It's going to be strong and a strong bend here, okay? So let's try this. Let's take a ball to that left rear. I'm just going to lean my left knee over to the bolster. And then I'm going to bring my knee back center, slide both my feet in to the floor, soles of the feet, and then just roll my left glute, okay? We'll just give it just glute, even though there's several muscles in that zone. You can feel that that's a very strong muscle that you're weaving across with the ball. So I just have the ball right at my left buttock, okay? It's a little bit closer to the higher part of my rear. And as I glide across the musculature, I'm trying to warm up the tissues with some issues, and enjoy that pressure and movement equals massage. Hands could be resting anywhere comfortable. Okay. Now, as you bring the weight into your right hip again, you're going to swing the left leg over to the bolster. If you need more height, you can use a round bolster, a bolster with blanket on top. Whatever you need to add to this. Some people will add a block or a blanket. Or if you have a couple of those balls, you'll place one at sacrum, and you might decide to put another one under that left knee. I'd be a little careful. I want you to have some ease to let that left thigh try to make its way to the bolster and attach to it. And then as you get your sand, just hug it in close to your core. Slug it across the core and place it on the upper outer left hip. Guide the sand towards the outer thigh, and left arm opens. Okay, let your head roll to the left and breathe. Full hip crossover. Okay, feel that left shoulder try to roll down. Arm is open. Breath is expansive in the rib spaces. Now let your head roll back to center. Slide the sand off. Move the ball now to the right buttock. So I'll bring the knees to point straight up, bottoms of the feet on the ground. Shift my sacrum to center. And then as the ball, I'm going to place it, I'm going to lift up my rear into a bridge pose. And then just roll the ball under the right buttock. And then just glide and move your hips side to side, just wagging your tail. And the smaller the ball, right, you might have a couple different sizes. You might find some benefit to either size for different reasons for massage work. Even though it seems like it would be better to have a smaller ball for the deeper tissue work, I don't know, I think they're both good. So if you decide to kind of try the larger ball and just kind of try them both during your session when you're practicing, that way you'll create your own wisdom to what works for you when you're in the moment of practice. It could change one week to the next. Okay, for what the issues are. Right now we're gliding across. It's going to feel more into the sciatic nerve area, going towards the side of the buttock to that glute medius, the border from the rear to the hip. Just let your hips go side to side. And then as you just shift your weight down to the left hip, now I want you to take your bolster over to the left side of your mat and cross the right leg over on top of the bolster. Okay. Add the ball, just let it kind of nudge in, smush it in towards that base of the spine, and add a sandbag to the upper outer right hip. Okay. You might need to add a blanket on top of the bolster or have a round bolster. You can add things so that it's easier to get your leg to the bolster. And then with that support and that extra grounding and traction across the hip and the lateral rotators, the right arm opens, your head rolls to the right. Your left hand can relax on the rib cage. Breathing. Slow, deep breaths. Fill up the rib cage. It's a hip crossover, so the lumbar spine, that lower back, is going to feel its arch, its sensation of hydration when it's curved, its natural contour. And the mid and upper back will really enjoy that rotation. You now slide the sand off. Just slide it to the left, okay? Move the ball over to the left. And then as you roll to your left side, I want you to merge your knees, stacking the thighs, and then carefully push into your hand one at a time and bring yourself up to feel a little bit of a twist. Okay, now we're going to set up for an extra good lumbar and thoracic side body extension. And side stretches are extensions of the abdominals, right? The side-ominals. So when we take our bolster across the mat, you might want to have a round bolster for this. It might feel a little bit more supportive if you're tall, okay? This works fine for me, and I can also add a blanket on top. Okay, so everyone's taller than me, so if you want some more height, you can use the round or add a blanket. Okay, another option would be a couple blankets on the other side of the bolster. You need a slot between the bolster and the blankets for your arm. This is important. You don't put your arm on the bolster or the blanket. Okay? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use our belt, our yoga rope here. Can't decide what to call it now. I'm gonna use this for my arm to hold and give a little bit more stretch for my side. So I'm just gonna see if this is the right height for me, because I can always bring it up. So my assumption is you might end up cinching up the yoga belt and bring it higher if you're tall. For me, it works out just fine. It's perfect. But you might have to go higher so you feel a better stretch in your side, okay? So first things first, get the yoga belt at the right height, meaning maybe higher, maybe where it's at is perfect, okay? You can reach it without having your pins and needles in your arm. Okay, if you do have pins and needles, right, you might have to make it actually lower. That would make it easier, and the higher you go with it, the more challenging. Okay, so got a bolster, got a space right between, a slot right between, and then I'm going to take my ball, place it to the right inner knee, and then I'm going to carefully guide my sandbag so I don't pull anything. I'm going to bring it up to my right hip, across, that way it won't fall over, it won't slide off. And then I'll bring the right arm overhead into the yoga rope. Okay, take your time. Settle in with breath, with the sensation. Right, it definitely starts to stir up feedback in the sides. This is my very favorite because we're using the yoga rope. So I'm not trying to stress my arm. I'm not pushing myself. I'm just hanging out. That's the nice thing about this yoga rope is you can just hang out. So feeling where the arm is in that reach, and not only the arm, but your sideominals. And the ball is under my inner right knee. You could bring your right knee closer to your left foot. You might bring it a little farther back behind you, but feeling and extending. Okay, now feel if you can let that left arm, hopefully it's firm on the ground, and you just bend the left arm. Maybe roll on the back of your head on the blankets and just feel a little bit of that stretch through the ribs. Left arm relaxes back out. Perfect. Now roll back to the left. Okay, taking your right arm out of the yoga belt, let the right arm release out to the right, and then reaching down to the sandbag, slide that away. Roll left. Okay, you might do a couple cat-cows here. That might feel very nourishing to the movement. Processing in your spine from these poses. Sometimes just the stillness and the angles just doesn't feel like enough lubrication in the back. So you might take your hands on the firm ground between the bolster and blankets and arch the spine and round the spine. Just take those gliding motions of the hips and the tailbone. Okay. Okay, Okay, now we're going to turn to our right hip. So we're going into what's called side sage on the right hip. The name doesn't matter as much as our alignment here, huh? So my right thigh is close to my bolster. My ball is under the left knee. I'm going to take my sand and I'm going to place it on that outer left hip and stretch my left arm over to my yoga rope and relax into it. And definitely possible that you'll feel this different in your one side to the next. You might find the arm responds as far as the muscleization, how it responds, how you muscle into it. You might feel a little bit more ease on one side than the other, so take the time to explore the reach of the left leg back. Okay, the ball on the inside of the left knee, and the right arm is between the bolster and the blankets. Your head is on the blankets, and just breathe. And just feel the sensations the movement of the breath creates. Relax your hand on both sides and the neck. And now we're going to move the left arm out of the rope and feel how your left arm opens out to the left side, opening, counter spin, and then rotate back to the right. Okay, let's slide the sand off, and I want you to carefully come up to sit on the bolster. Okay, so you're facing away from the wall. And we'll just bring our feet together in what's called cobbler's pose. So the soles of the feet together, the knees apart. You could put blocks under the legs. And actually, I want you to get closer to the wall. All right, so make sure you can easily touch the wall. So if this works for you, that's fine. But you might need to scoot the bolster back a little bit. If you're on a round bolster, you might want to go back to a standard size bolster, the flats. I like the blocks under my legs, but it's not required. It might feel fine without. And I want you to bring the right hand to the left knee and just take a twist, but reach back to the wall. Just spider the fingers, so just open out your hand. Yeah, don't worry about pushing your palm into the wall, but trying to get the ribs to lift up out of the lumbar spine. So if you're having some challenges in the lower lumbars, right, you want to find that the lower thoracics can help support and rotate, not drag you down or tighten it up at the base, but give a little bit of lift. Give a little inner lift. And then just turn, like you're gonna almost twist the arms. You're gonna bring your left hand to the right, reach your right hand back to the wall, and turn. Just feel the ribs. Try to keep those knees pointing out. This is what's especially helpful for my lower back. Right, this is especially good with feet together, knees apart, turning. Now let that right arm keep reaching the chest. The pectoral muscles, keep it opening through the chest. come back center. Okay, and let's just slide the blocks forward, down to my feet. Take the ball to the side and carefully slide down off your bolster. And we're gonna set up for a reclining cobbler's pose. So I want you to take your bolster forward and then start to get your blankets all set up. Okay, you're gonna roll up the base blanket and make it into a bit of a tube. Okay, roll it all the way up. You can be near the wall. You might actually find the yoga rope could be kind of interesting on this one. You're gonna roll that up and then you're gonna place your flat standard size bolster, not a round one, a flat one here on top of the rolled up blanket. And then I want you to take just a simple quarter full blanket at the short end of your bolster close to the wall. So you have a nice ramp for your spine. And now as you turn away from the bolster, your sacrum is right up at the short end. You got your sandbag, slide it in as close as you can so it's easy for you to manage, sandbag management. Now, when you lower down on your bolster, I want you to have your blocks. Now, if you have a round bolster, you could slide that actually under the thighs here. So if I had a round bolster, I'll just kind of modify it. If I had it here, I would just slide it under and then I would rest my knees out wide on the round bolster, okay? The blocks are nice to have as well, and they can do just as well, but if you have a round bolster, it might make it especially peaceful, okay? And as you guide your back onto that length and support for your spine, take some time to let the ribs stretch. Let's add our sand. So if you have many sandbags, you could do things like have one on each inner thigh. You could have a sandbag on your feet and then a sandbag on your ribs. So if you have two, that would probably be ideal, is that you have one on your feet are turned, pressing together, the knees are out, so you could have a sandbag on the feet intersection. But I'm pretty comfy with the sand here from my heart to my belly. I don't want it to roll off or slide down too much, so I try to get the right amount of bulk here. Take some time. Right at the heart. Okay. All right, now bring the hands together, rubbing them, creating some heat into the skin. Reach the arms back overhead. Just take a visit with the yoga rope. Maybe feel when you move it away from the wall, just feel that movement of the shoulders, maybe back. You could even reach your hands together into the yoga rope, interlacing your fingers, just clutching the hands like into a fist. Just get that circulation in the upper extremities. And then if you decide, you can let go of the yoga rope. You can either hold the back of your bolster, like slide the fingers into the bolster handle, or bring your arms open to the sides. If you have an eye pillow that's across your eyes, and just receiving your breath, filling up, and letting go. Just feel that alternating pattern of in and out breath. Feel that there's both ribs that expand breathe in through the nose to expand. And breathe out to land in the body. Just enjoying that alternating receiving of breath and relaxing on your out breath. Relax the heart. You might notice the heaviness there because of the sand. So if you want to take the sandbag off and feel it slowing and relaxing more, that's fine. The sandbag is a nice way to add that weight training for your breathing muscles. So there will be some resistance, right, with the sand. Also a little bit more calming. So finally scan from the feet through the inner leg, the leg pit, all the way into the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, to the belly. Soft belly. Slide the hands in closer. If you want to go back to the yoga rope, you can always bring your hands back on up and just feel maybe a little bit of movement with the arms side to side. It's nice to feel the stillness in the center of gravity in my pelvis and my heart. And the levers have a little freedom. That's how I get around and get things, is to have my levers working well, my legs, my arms. Arms relax down, take the sand off. If it's still on your feet, you can wiggle it away. And then just progress to bring the knees towards each other, the feet walk towards your seat, you put the blocks to the side, or if you have a bolster, you could just kind of lean into it. And I want you to spend a few moments just feeling the weight in the tail, the slight weight in the tail, and the very real sensation of the chest opening and the back strengthening. Just find your roots of attaining some peace, right? Arches of the back, expansiveness of the ribs. Knees go side to side, mini windshield wiper. And then roll to the side. Help yourself with your hands to bring yourself up. Take just a simple moment just to kind of feel your mellow self, your mellowing. And let the shoulders roll back. Bring the hands to join, palm to palm lightly. Take a deep inhale, filling the lungs. And with exhalations, bowing into that space behind your heart. And gratitude. All right, be well. Thank you. Hope that felt good. Yeah, let me any feedback, how that goes for you. And there's other things we can add in. I would love to have feedback about it. Otherwise, keeping those awareness lines going, right? You have the front line, the front space when you lie back. In the beginning with that rib hammock, that's one I really like, using the two balls, right? So you do have them in the beginning. If you're not sure, they really are here. They're about here, above the kidneys, to that serratus anterior spot, right? So that's going to be back here, right? Posterior back here, but That's where I want you to draw the line around when you lie onto that. And then we do the leg movement in the rope, and then we go into hip crossover. So that's kind of a reflection of it. And then we go to the side sage, right? And then just simply cobbler's pose, twisting, and then reclining cobbler. So pretty simple set today.